There is a plant growing in your driveway right now. It is pushing through the cracks in your sidewalk, spreading beneath your garden beds, thriving in the exact places you have been taught to spray with poison. This plant contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any leafy vegetable ever tested. More than spinach, more than kale, more than lettuce. We are talking about 4 times more alpha-linolenic acid per gram than any green you will find in a grocery store. It provides 10 times more total fatty acids than either spinach or kale combined. It delivers almost half your daily magnesium in a single serving, a quarter of your vitamin C, and 44% of your vitamin A, not per pound, per serving, per 100 grams of fresh leaves that are growing wild in places you have been stepping over your entire life. For 4,000 years, humans cultivated this plant as medicine and food. Hippocrates himself prescribed it in 460 BCE, and today, a $42 billion industry exists specifically to kill it. They call it Purslane. The archive opens in 1050 BCE. In the foothills of northern Greece, archaeologists sifting through the sediment of an ancient settlement discovered something unexpected. They expected pottery. They expected tools. They expected the remnants of domesticated grains that would tell the familiar story of agricultural civilization. What they found, instead, stopped everyone. Purslane seeds, thousands of them, dating back 3,000 years. This was not contamination from modern weeds. This was not accidental distribution. The quantities and locations proved deliberate storage, intentional cultivation, organized harvesting by people who understood something we have systematically forgotten. The Romans knew. Pliny the Elder documented purslane extensively in the 1st century CE, prescribing it for headaches, inflammation, bladder disorders, and intestinal conditions. The plant appeared on dining tables across the empire, not as poverty food but as valued medicine wrapped in appetizing form. Galen recommended it for heat in the mouth. Dioscorides prescribed it for digestive ailments. These were not fringe practitioners. These were the fathers of Western medicine, and they reached for purslane with the same certainty that modern physicians reach for pharmaceuticals. The Chinese arrived at identical conclusions through independent investigation. Traditional Chinese medicine classified purslane as ma qi xian, a cooling herb that neutralized toxins and moved blood. They used dried aerial parts to treat fever, dysentery, diarrhea, carbuncles, eczema, and blood in the stool. The systematic documentation began centuries before the Romans discovered it, suggesting either parallel discovery or ancient trade routes we have not yet mapped. Either way, 2 civilizations separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time reached the same conclusion. This plant heals. The Indians called it different names depending on the region. Santi, Punarva, Parupu Kirai, Kulfa. They employed it for indigestion, ulcers, edema, eye diseases, and bronchial asthma. The Ayurvedic physicians who catalogued its properties had no way of knowing they were describing a plant that would one day be proven to contain compounds that modern science is only beginning to understand. They simply observed what happened when people ate it regularly. And what happened was measurably better health. So what did they know? Let me tell you what is actually inside. 100 grams of fresh purslane leaves contains 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid. For comparison, spinach contains roughly 1 milligram per gram. Purslane contains 4 milligrams per gram. That is 4 times more omega-3 fatty acid in every single bite. But here is what makes this extraordinary. Purslane is the only plant known to contain small amounts of EPA, the same omega-3 found in fish oil, 0.01 milligrams per gram, which does not sound like much until you realize that flax oil, the plant source everyone recommends for omega-3, contains absolutely none. Purslane delivers something no other plant can deliver. The vitamin profile tells the same story. Alpha-tocopherol, the most bioactive form of vitamin E, reaches 2 milligrams per 100 grams in fresh leaves. That is 7 times more than spinach. 7 times. Ascorbic acid hits 6 milligrams per 100 grams, providing a quarter of your daily vitamin C. Beta-carotene delivers 9 milligrams, converting in your body to vitamin A at levels that eclipse most vegetables in the produce aisle. The mineral density approaches the impossible. Potassium reaches 494 milligrams per 100 grams, higher than 87% of all foods in the USDA database. Magnesium delivers 68 milligrams, higher than 82% of foods. Calcium hits 65 milligrams. Iron provides nearly 2 milligrams, 25% of daily value. All of this arrives in a package containing just 20 calories. But here is what nobody tells you. Purslane contains 184 identified phytochemicals, more than kale, more than spinach. Compounds including betaline alkaloid pigments, both the reddish beta-cyanins and the yellow beta-xanthins, which laboratory studies have proven to be potent antioxidants with anti-mutagenic properties. The omega-6 to omega-3 ratio sits between 1:1 and 1:3. Exactly what researchers now believe prevents chronic disease. The ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, the Chinese, the Indians. They did not have a word for cardiovascular disease. They did not have a word for metabolic syndrome. They did not need one. So here is the question nobody wants to answer. How did a plant this valuable become an enemy? The answer begins in the cracks of your sidewalk and ends in the boardrooms of corporations you have never heard of. The global herbicide market reached $42 billion in 2024. It will climb to nearly $59 billion by 2030. Every single year, companies like BASF, Bayer, Corteva, and Syngenta develop new formulations specifically designed to kill broadleaf weeds in lawns, gardens, and agricultural settings. Purslane is classified as one of the most common target weeds in all of North America. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot trademark its genetics. You cannot control distribution when the plant produces up to 200,000 seeds per individual specimen. Seeds that remain viable in soil for up to 40 years. You cannot build a supply chain around a product that grows spontaneously in driveways, sidewalk cracks, and the margins of every cultivated field. You cannot sell a recurring subscription for something people can harvest for free, that regrows faster than they can pull it, that thrives in conditions where commercial crops would fail. You cannot monetize abundance, so they classified it as a weed. They developed herbicides containing 2,4-D, dicamba, mecoprop, and triclopyr, specifically to eliminate it from lawns that exist primarily because the lawn care industry convinced suburban homeowners that a monoculture of non-native grass represents the pinnacle of property value. The U.S. lawn care products market alone reached $11 billion in 2023, and a significant portion of that revenue exists specifically to kill edible plants like purslane and replace them with grass you cannot eat. University extension offices across America publish detailed guides on purslane eradication. They recommend pre-emergent herbicides to prevent seeds from sprouting. They recommend post-emergent herbicides to kill seedlings. They recommend hand-pulling with immediate bagging because purslane can draw on its succulent resources and complete seed production even after being uprooted. They warn that tilling simply spreads the plant because even small stem fragments can form new plants if left behind. They present this resilience as a problem to be solved rather than a feature to be celebrated. They did not suppress it through conspiracy. They suppressed it through neglect, through the systematic retraining of entire populations to view abundance as invasion, medicine as nuisance. Food as enemy. The lawn care industry did not meet in secret to eliminate Purslane from human consciousness. They simply made more money selling herbicides than they would have made selling salad. And the culture followed the economics until generation after generation grew up stepping over dinner on their way to the grocery store. But here is what they could not erase. The plant itself, the knowledge itself, the cultures that never forgot, but knowledge does not die. Half the world kept eating purslane while the other half was taught to poison it. In Mexico, they call it Verdolagas. Families pass down recipes for puerco con verdolagas, pork braised with purslane in salsa verde. Dishes that trace back centuries through grandmothers who knew the plant by taste before they knew it by name, not famine food. Premium cuisine served at celebrations and family gatherings, cooked with tomatillos and serranos and passed between generations who understood its worth. In Greece, they call it glistrida or andrakla. They combine it with feta cheese, tomato, onion, garlic, oregano, and olive oil. They add it to salads, boil it, braise it with chicken. There is a proverb that survives in Greek culture when someone speaks too much and too fast. You ask if they ate purslane. The plant is woven into the linguistic fabric of a civilization that never stopped valuing it. In Turkey, they serve it with yogurt as a variant of tzatziki, bake it into pastries, cook it like spinach. In Lebanon, they call it bakle and stir it into stews. In Portugal, the Alentejo region serves sopa de beldroigas, a traditional soup topped with poached eggs and goat cheese. In China, Ma Chi Shen continues to appear in medicinal preparations and traditional dishes that stretch back thousands of years unbroken. Aboriginal Australians used purslane seeds to make seed cakes. Native American populations across the continent consumed it before European contact, spreading the seeds themselves across trade routes that archaeologists are still mapping. The plant was already present in Crawford Lake, deposits in Ontario between 1350 and 1539, centuries before Columbian exchange, suggesting either pre-contact trade or independent naturalization that rewrites assumptions about American agricultural history. But it was incomplete. The Western world forgot. The cultures that retained the knowledge existed at the margins of global food systems dominated by industrial agriculture and monoculture farming. Half the world never forgot. The other half was taught to worship the lawn. That moment is now, so here is what you do. Find it first. Purslane grows in every state except Alaska. It appears in sidewalk cracks, garden beds, disturbed soil. Anywhere humans have disrupted the ground and left it exposed to sunlight. Look for thick, succulent leaves with a paddle shape, reddish stems that grow close to the ground, tiny yellow flowers that open only in full sun. If you are unsure, compare what you find to images online or ask at a plant nursery. There is a toxic lookalike called spurge that grows alongside purslane. But spurge has thin leaves and milky white sap, while purslane has thick, succulent leaves and clear, watery sap. The difference is obvious once you know to look. Harvest it by cutting or pinching stems above the lower woody portion. Everything above that point is edible leaves, stems, flower buds, even the tiny black seeds. Wash it thoroughly because ground-level plants collect dust and debris. Pat it dry and use it immediately, or store it in the refrigerator where it will keep for 3 to 4 days. Eat it raw in salads, where it's slightly tart. Lemony taste provides natural brightness. Add it to sandwiches for crunch and nutrition. Cook it briefly in soups and stews, where its mucilaginous quality acts as a natural thickener. Sauté it with garlic and serve it with beans, the way Mexican families have done for generations. Steam it lightly and dress it with olive oil and cotija cheese. Blend it into smoothies for a nutritional boost that no commercial supplement can match. One important note: purslane contains oxalic acid, the same compound found in spinach and rhubarb. If you have a history of kidney stones or are prone to developing them, consume Purslane in moderation or consult a healthcare provider before making it a dietary staple. For most people, the oxalate content presents no concern, especially when Purslane is mixed with yogurt or calcium-rich foods that reduce oxalate absorption. Reclaim the name that the herbicide industry tried to erase. When someone asks what you are eating, tell them it is Verdolagas. Tell them it is Glistrida. Tell them it is Magnesium. Tell them it is the plant that Hippocrates prescribed and Pliny documented, and your grandmother might have gathered if she had been born in a different place or a different time. Tell them it contains more omega-3 than any leafy vegetable on Earth, that it delivers nutrients their supplements cannot match, that it grows free in places where corporations would rather sell them poison. Every person who harvests Purslane instead of spraying it is one more voice saying that $42 billion in herbicide sales does not represent progress. Every family that adds Verdolagas to their dinner table is one more proof that knowledge survives when it matters. Every gardener who leaves the Purslane growing instead of pulling it is one more step toward a food system that measures value in nutrition rather than profit margins. The plant they poisoned, the medicine they patented, the food they taught you was a weed. Hippocrates knew. The Roman physicians definitely knew. Traditional Chinese medicine has known for 2,000 years. Now you know. Purslane is still here. Still pushing through concrete in your driveway. Still delivering omega-3 fatty acids that your body cannot manufacture on its own. Still providing nutrition that costs nothing to harvest from ground that would otherwise grow grass you cannot eat. Still waiting for anyone willing to look down instead of reaching for the spray bottle. There is a plant growing in your driveway right now. It has been growing there your entire life. Your grandparents likely walked over it without knowing what it was. Their grandparents might have eaten it if they came from the right part of the world. Or they might have been the first generation to forget. It can feed you. If this opened something for you, subscribe. Every share helps preserve knowledge they spent decades trying to erase. The next vault opens soon.